Hi, this is Miss Sebastian, your art teacher. I'm so excited you're going to be with me today, and I have some awesome first projects for us to do in the art class. Before we get started on that, let me introduce to you my little buddy. This is Shishi. He's my Japanese chin. Mwah, I love him so much, and he loves me too. In fact, that's a great thing about dogs in general and pets is that they just love you unconditionally. And when we're talking about art, art has many reasons to make it. Sometimes it's to express ourselves. Sometimes it's to try new things and expand our growth. Today's lessons, I really want to have the focus of optimism. Optimism means having a hopeful outlook on now and the future. And in this sort of world today that we're living in, we need more love and optimism and hope. So hopefully you're going to enjoy these projects we're going to be making. Third, fourth, and fifth are all going to be on pop artists. And pop is really unique in the art movements in that those artists usually use lots of beautiful, bright colors in their artworks and will usually have a lot of hopeful, optimistic messages too. So we're going to go ahead and get started on those by watching a quick presentation first. This project is going to be for a Square One fundraiser we're doing, where you can take your art and have it made into all sorts of products. Everyone will get a free sticker sheet though. Hip hip hooray. A few do's and don'ts. Try to make your artwork very bright, colorful, communicates your message well. Don't make it too close to the edge. Include your name. And don't break copyright laws. Don't take someone else's art and call it your own and put it in your art. It needs to be all your own artwork. Hi, so today we're going to learn about the pop artist Romero Britto. He is a contemporary artist. That means this is a picture of what he looks like today. He is making artwork like we are looking at today. In fact, you can go to his website and buy prints of it that, have the date and everything, and you can see yourself that he is a modern, everyday artist. And he is a pop artist. So let's talk about what pop artists are. So today you're going to learn about pop art movement and how Britto fits into it. Appreciate the art of Romero Britto. Create an optimistic artwork, because that's what he loves to do in the style of Romero Britto. And apply patterns to your art. So pop art. Pop art is an art movement that emerged in the 1950s and flourished in the 1960s through today in America and Britain, and really throughout the world, because Romero Britto is from South America. And so this has really reached into countries all around the entire world. And they draw inspiration from popular everyday things. That's where the pop comes from, popular everyday items. So this Roy Lichtenstein painting we're looking at is from a comic book. Of course, nowadays I think they like to call them graphic novels. But taking those panels and words, changing the colors, maybe changing the image a little bit, and kind of when you look at this, you're supposed to think, oh yeah, that looks like a comic book panel inside of a book. Or Andy Warhol's Campbell soup cans. The heart of pop art is you don't have to go to a museum to see wonderful examples of art. It could be on the grocery store shelves. In this case, we have the wonderful Campbell soup cans by Andy Warhol. All right, so this is our first work that we're going to look at. So he is the founder of the happy art movement, he calls it. And he really feels like he's created a visual language of love, hope, and happiness, all its own, that inspires millions worldwide. Judging by his sales, I would have to agree. Let's look at his art a little more closely. So he has subjects. I would say the subject is going to be the hearts in the picture. One of the ways he lets you know it's the hearts is look at the outline. The outline is a little thicker than the things in the background here that you can see have a thinner outline. We recognize hearts as something, so that's going to grab your attention as well. In the background, he's broken up the space into many different pattern shapes. That's what we're going to do in our artworks as well. Here's another one. This one's called Happy from 2010. So in this instance, the subject is going to be the word happy. That is also what we would call the foreground. The background is anything behind the words happy. Because when you look at this picture, the first thing you read is happy. You don't notice the things in the background quite as much or as quickly. So words, optimistic words, can be in your artwork too, if you would like. All right, so he was born in Brazil, but he grew up a lot when he was a young boy. His family moved to Miami, and so that is like his home base right now. So this is Brazil, and that's where Miami is in Florida. So he's a Florida artist. Awesome. All right, here's another one called Pet Love. So he is an international artist that uses vibrant, iconic imagery and fun patterns to reflect his optimistic view of the world around him. And look, he's got dogs in his picture. All right, let's talk about the influences on Romero Britto's artwork. So on the left-hand side, the hand holding the bouquet, is his artwork entitled From Me. And then on the right-hand side, there is an artwork by the artist known as Picasso. So these are both have flowers in them as the subject, and they both have patterns in them. So you can see how this simplified style with patterns and lines that break up the space are easily influenced by the art of Picasso. He's also influenced by Matisse. Matisse loved to do cutouts. You know, at an early age, Britto painted on scraps of paper or cardboard or any medium he could find before coming into his own and traveling to Paris, where he was introduced to the works of these artists. And again, in Matisse's art, you can see that it has that simplified style, not even necessarily a table for the vase and flowers to sit on, but it's got those patterns in it, and it's got that simplified, colorful, optimistic style. This one's called Love, and again, this is one that uses the words, an optimistic word. His appreciation of these masters influenced him to create an iconic style that the New York Times has described that it exudes warmth, optimism, and love. His work's been displayed in over 100 countries in different galleries and museums. Here he is at one display, and look, he's holding in his hand a 3D, a ceramic version of his artwork. So he doesn't just work in the 2D, two-dimensional meaning, flat artwork like paintings or prints. He also does the 3D like in clay. This one's called Hug 2, and again, he believes that as an artist, that he needs to be an agent of positive change. He's committed to developing and supporting the role of art that will continue to play in world issues today, bringing joy, bringing optimism. He is considered the most licensed artist in history, working with many companies. That means that they would usually pay him to make an artwork featuring their product name. Again, taking that popular everyday item and combining it with fine art. So here's one that's Coca-Cola, Carnival Cruises, and even Disney. All right, so here is an example of an artwork you could make. This one only has one letter. Maybe it's the student's first initial or last name initial, or maybe it has some other special significance. It's the first initial of your pet, or maybe it has another meaning, like it means adorable or something else. Notice how the background's broken up. There's a lot of color in here. There's a lot of patterns. Turn to your neighbors, and I want you to discuss for just a few, like maybe 30 seconds, how did Romero if this was his artwork, how would you, how did they make the A stand out from the background? How do we see the A amongst all these patterns and colors? Okay, so maybe, raise your hand up in the air if you got one of these. The the A is not colored in. It's just black and white. And there really isn't white in the background. So if you said color made it stand out, if you said that the A had a thicker, blacker outline, raise your hand. You may have even noticed something else. But I think those are the two big ones to keep in mind as we move into making our own art. So, patterns, a repeated decorative design. Patterns can be colors, they can be shape and line. It's when you have it that repeats, that's what's going to give it that decorative design that makes it a pattern. In what way does it repeat? Your assignment is going to be to create an optimistic artwork in the style of Romero Britto. So what does that mean? It could be a very simple picture of something you love. It could be letters or a word that has an optimistic meaning. We're going to break up that background and put patterns in it, and it's going to be bright and colorful. We're going to outline it in black Sharpies, and then we're going to add some color to them too. All right, things that you will need for this lesson include paper, markers, a ruler, a black Sharpie, and a pencil with an eraser. Okay, to get started for our lesson, if you haven't filled out this top portion, please go ahead and do so. And so you're going to put your first name, one letter in each space, and your last name. That happens to be mine. Our school is Holley, Holley, dash, Navarre, Navarre, and then we're going to put intermediate, INT, ERMEDIATE. You're going to put what grade you're in, 3rd, 4th, or 5th, and your teacher's name. Not my name, that would be your classroom teacher's name. And then we're ready to start drawing. I love the idea of what you need to do is you need to decide whether or not you're going to be doing a, let's say, a subject, whether it's something that you just love and adore. Let's say I am an absolute soccer fan fanatic. So if I was that, maybe I would do a big circle. If you want to practice doing a little practice drawing on the back, not a bad idea. You don't want to make anything too little in this, too small, too detailed, because we are going to be using a Sharpie to outline things. And if you make things too tiny, you're not going to be able to outline it adequately. And maybe just for fun, I will add a face to my soccer ball. Why not? I have this great sheet here. So if your teacher needs to go back and pause it on this portion as you're doing your artwork, you're welcome to do that, the video, so that you'll be able to use these in creating your artwork. All right, and so, and when we do draw, you want to make sure you draw lightly, because if you decide to press hard, make that line super dark, don't need to make it super dark anyway, because we're going to be using a Sharpie to outline when you're done drawing. But if I needed to erase something,
you can kind of still see that there, but because this was lighter, that pretty much all erased. So it's super important for you to draw lightly on this because it's going to be very difficult to go back and change. So I feel pretty good about this size. Maybe I'll make it just a little bigger. I think that's pretty good. Doesn't have to be perfect because, you know, this is pop art. Doesn't have to be super realistic. I drew lightly so I can go back and erase. And, you know, maybe that's a little lopsided there, so we're gonna just shave that part off. Not too bad. Okay. And then for my soccer ball, I'm gonna do a big hexagon here, and it's gonna go up. And then these come out. And then I always make these now just slightly bowed. A little puffier. A little bit like a little rainbow arch. Because when you feel a soccer ball, it's actually got a little texture to it. But if you want yours just to be more round and circular, that is okay too, because it doesn't have to be exactly realistic. Oops. All right. And then maybe I'll put one of those silly expressions on it. Give them some sparkles in those eyes. Okay, and then I'm gonna break up that background with my ruler. So maybe I'll have just a line go here. Maybe I'll break up this corner over here. And we really want to have one central or maybe two. You don't want to get too detailed with too many little things all around here if you can help it. We'll have this go across. I feel like there needs to be one here and maybe one up here. All right, and then I'm just going to fill up these with some different patterns. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and outline everything with the black Sharpie you're going to be given. All right, next we're going to be adding some color. Don't forget to sign your name somewhere, first and last. And I'm going to put mine right here. All right, it's time for you to get working on these beautiful artworks. Here are a couple of other subjects that I've chosen just to show you some variety.